let's get started and talk about Monday. Ooh. Sorry, I got home after Friends and Family Night and then was like, I can just write code for an hour. And so at 4 a.m. I went to sleep. Anyway, demo day on Monday. Previous to which you will not have done that. You will not have done anything except for sleep, right? Because sleep is important. Sleep is what keeps us sane and whole, happy and healthy. Moving on. Okay, so what's going to happen on demo day is the laptop up here is going to freeze, and then you'll stand here hitting the spacebar like an idiot. There we go. All right. So how it's going to work is we're going to have teams from here. So Grace Hopper is going to present, Full Stack is going to present, and Chicago and Remote are going to present. Employers are going to watch this live. Many of them will watch it later. Your friends and family will watch it live. You should send out, let's see, you should send out the link, probably not that link, but I will Slack out a link to the live stream. You should send out to all of your friends and family and get them to vote for you, because there will be prizes. The Developer's Choice Award is a survey done of all of the students, and then the Facebook Live Award is literally how many likes you get during your presentation. And so if you just stuff the ballot box, get a whole bunch of people, maybe commandeer a botnet, then you too can get a $50 Amazon gift certificate. Thus, enriching Jeff Bezos, because God knows he needs it. We will be presenting, okay, so demo day starts at 1:30. We will be presenting during the beginning part of that, and then we will come up here and have champagne and cupcakes. What's that? And tears, and a retrospective. We're plying you with alcohol, so that the retrospective goes better.
How much we love you.
Yeah, it'll be a bittersweet parting, because Kate and I are not going to be here on Friday, so we're going to do those festivities on Monday, which I think actually feels like a better time, anyway, because you're really amped up after demo day, and then there's this week of, I don't want to say nothing, but it's like less directed, and so it's just better. We'll carry all that energy into a celebration. David and Nimit, and then the instructors will be hosting at this weirdly like sportscaster-ish desk in the back of the Oasis. You'll get to see the setup over the next few days. We'll be doing some rehearsals down in the Oasis. You'll get to practice with the mic down there and practice the delicate choreography of handing off the mic so each of you can stand in front of the X. The X is the only place where you will be recorded. The schedule looks like this. We'll practice in the morning. You must have your screencasts uploaded. I actually think it might be earlier than that, but definitely by then, definitely by that morning, you should have a screencast made as a single video, and any slides you want should be edited into that video, and we're about to talk about how you can do that, and then you can you give it to us, we put it into a keynote, we're like, here's your keynote, you can use these keys, but absolutely don't use these other keys, otherwise it'll be really embarrassing. And then at 1:30, we all present, and you're done with most of senior phase. You're done with the scariest part of senior phase. And then you move on to the scariest part of the program, which is the job part. Any questions about this? Okay. So to prep for today and tomorrow, today you should write and start to memorize, you're probably not going to have it done by the end of today, a script, and you're going to record a screencast. By the end of today, you should have a draft of a script and a draft of a screencast. You should have something so that when we go through the rehearsals, you won't be surprised when we're like, okay, let's see your screencast, and like say words from your script. It's again all right if you don't have it totally memorized by the end of the day. Nobody really expects that, but you should have like an idea of what you're going to say and at least like sort of a skeleton of what your app is going to be doing as you say it. You'll practice your presentation a few times on your own, and then this afternoon we're going to probably break into 2 groups and do like you'll rehearse to like some subset of the class, and they'll get feedback, and then you'll give feedback on someone else. So this afternoon, you're presenting a draft presentation with your group to your peers. Yeah?
I wasn't here right at the beginning, so what's the difference between the screencast and the presentation?
The presentation is the whole thing you were giving. The screencast is the video that you were giving it to. It's not very different.
So it's the same thing.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, the screencast, we do the screencast so that you're not obviously like clicking through your app there. It also lets you like fast forward through the boring parts. It lets us make sure that nothing will go wrong unless something catastrophic goes wrong, which we can't ever prevent.
Demo
Yeah.
is when you meet all the people that you were interesting as so?
No, demo day you meet no one. No one interesting whatsoever. Just us, again, just your classmates. On Wednesday, that's lunch day, and that's when there will be employers and interview questions and all that stuff
Thursday.
happening. Up here. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday.
Thursday.
Right, on Thursday, it will be lunch day. Yeah.
Are we doing anything with the project at the Monday?
No, you're not really doing anything with the project now. I mean, if you can find time to work on it, yes, but I think there's like basically no scheduled time to work on it.
Will there be the project at the Monday? Like on launch day, will we do anything with it?
No, you'll be talking about it presumably. I think it's like not uncommon for employers to ask about it. But no, basically demo day is like when it gets demoed, and we do it asynchronously. We used to like glom them all together and have you present and then do launch day, which just gets really long, right? This is already 3 hours long, and then there's all of launch day after that. And so we broke it up so that, mostly so that employers can watch it sort of at their leisure for a couple of days, get a sense of like who they might want to talk to, and then on Thursday, it's just interviews and mingling. Yeah, that's that.
Do you happen to know like how soon before launch day we'll know who might be
On Tuesday, we'll find out who's coming, and I think on Tuesday they're all gonna tell you like,
Okay.
oh, these are the people you're talking to.
I noticed
Yeah.
that last night when Nick like started talking at 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get 2 days to prepare for that.
All right, and then tomorrow, basically the same thing. You'll be rehearsing and polishing your presentation. So in the morning, you'll be running through it with various people. Like we'll be there, your fellows will be there, and then in the afternoon we'll have a rehearsal. I think this might be downstairs in the Oasis. I have to check on the schedule. In front of everyone. Sort of a dry run. And then over the weekend, you'll be finishing your screencast. If you have any last minute changes to your app that you want to present, that's the time to do it, but most people find that just doing the screencast is work enough. And memorizing your script. If you absolutely can't memorize it, it's okay to have a note card, but really try to. Ideally, you want to get it memorized and then start to kind of forget it so you can not feel super wooden up there. And then that's it. On Monday, we get demo day, and then thereafter, you have no more scary presentations ever until interviews, which are basically all scary presentations. Yeah, yeah, or if you decide to give talks in front of people for conferences or as your job for some reason, then you will have to do that too, but not for this program. All right, final notes. Get here by 10, wear something nice, and bring the energy when you're seeing other people present. And then leave before a full stack presents, is apparently what we're doing.
We got like time slots where everyone finds out.
Yeah, we'll come up with an order, probably by sometime on Friday. Definitely by Monday, you'll know final order. There won't be exactly time slots because we never exactly run on time, and your presentation is 4 minutes. Yeah.
4 minutes total, or 4 minutes each person?
4 minutes total. Oh my god, there's like 20 groups.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Does that include, like, the scheduling, for instance, the
It does include setup and takedown. There is almost no, there should be no setup and takedown because you do not bring up your laptop. You have sent us the video. It's loaded onto a playlist on the podium, and they're already in order. So the thing you need to do to start your presentation should be to hit a key, which changes every year, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. I don't know. Just to change it up.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So there's no clicker to change slides?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
So it's yeah, this is the problem. It's a video, and
Okay, got it.
the thing that I want to write where you have a video and it knows what timestamps are slides doesn't exist yet. So yeah, you just have to kind of time it. It's also 4 minutes, so you just won't get that far off, and it's fine. It doesn't really matter.
So, in terms of like slides, what slides would you recommend? Because I'm thinking like, depending on like how long, like because like, for example, our thing is like a lot of like walking through our app. So what kind of slides would you actually have?
Yeah, let's just slide right into creating a screencast. Which I can't find. So to work together. One moment.
Trying to interact with our video.
Oh, somebody ordered a hamburger first and then drinks. I'm so proud.
There we go. Great. Okay. What's that?
When you say we're something nice, do I think about we're definitely formal.
Definitely formal.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so let's talk about the screencast and your presentation in general. This is a presentation about presentations. Okay, so hiring day, blah, blah, blah. This is probably inaccurate. Ignore the first bullet point, but the last bullet points are true. So your presentation is going to be 4 minutes long. Because they're so tight, we're going to script them, so you should have an idea of what you're going to say. Winging it is not great for 4 minutes up here. And then each person on your team should speak for a significant amount of time, which means you should be speaking for about 1 minute. Slightly more if you have not 4 people.
Demo day.
This is for, yeah, sorry, this is for demo day. The slide is
Which is on Monday.
Yeah. So the presentation is the story of your project, which means it's going to go from basically an introduction where you're like, hi, here's me, here's all my teammates, say your names and have your names on the title slide. And like be welcoming, try and smile. Whoever like does that the best of your group should probably go first just to set a nice tone. As an example, like this is Gabe's slide. Hi, my name's Ashi, and these are my teammates, Kate, and everyone else on my team. I don't know, Kate and Omri and Gabe. And our app is Get Away With It, the first evidence tampering as a service product. All right. And then you want to give an overview of your app, which will basically cover the problem you're trying to solve, why you were interested in doing it. If you were not interested in doing it, come up with some reasons why you decided to do it rather than literally every other idea in the entire world, which were options. What are the major features? And this should be like, what are the major features that you're going to be demoing? Near the end of the presentation, you can talk about like, here were our grand plans that did not come to fruition during the time we had, but which we would like to come to fruition soon, even if you have no intention of ever working on this. So. Oh, so don't say like future work?
I wanted to, but both are valid.
Oh, sure.
Well, now
Just don't, yeah. Yeah, and some of it's time, right? Like if you have like 4 minutes of material to talk about, like here's all the things we did, then, which you probably do, actually it's only 4 minutes, then yeah, just fill it with things you did. But I think it is nice to be like, here's some like wild plans. Maybe that's just because I'm full of wild plans, and so I like to talk about them sometimes. Yeah, different opinions.
We love your wild plans.
Yeah, so what are the big features, and then what are any particularly unique ones that you're going to highlight in the presentation? So you want to set up as much as possible a like problem, or which for games this is a little different. You don't really have to sell why people are interested in playing a game, but in general, like sell the problem infomercial style. It doesn't have to. Please don't make it infomercial. Actually, maybe do if you feel like you can really sell the infomercial aesthetic. And then talk about how your app solves it. And then you're going to want to present. This has never gotten this much of a. So. This was the GIF that lets us release our anxiety. That's it. Yeah, so having introduced the problem, you're going to walk through how your app solves it. Focus on the interesting bits of your user flow, but go through like a user story. So like I can like come to this app, I can go to a room, and I can have a conversation with someone in a different language and point to a book, and it's like libro. That's, for example, you know, if someone happened to do that. You can show various corners of your app. You don't have to show every single feature you worked on in this like first flow. In particular, if you like want to show login, that's great. I would like fast forward through some of the parts that are part of every app that aren't like that unique. Like literally, you can make the video run faster, so it's not like, and I'm filling out this form. Okay, so after going through your app, talk about how you built it, or didn't build it in this case. So that's going to entail talking about like so we just saw the features you wanted to do, and then now you want to start to reveal, okay, here were the technologies we used, here were the problems we ran into, and here were the solutions we came up with. So you're trying to sell yourself as a technical, creative person, which means you're going to be talking about like the challenges you encountered and how you cleverly slayed them like dragons. So address any difficult technical challenges. Show clarifying diagrams. There's always a slide, and it's a slide full of logos. It kind of looks like the here were our sponsors slide of products that people use. I can't stop you from putting that slide up there. I hate that slide. because that's how it feels. What I do prefer is if you want to show all your technologies and want to have cute logos, you can arrange them in an architecture diagram that's like, here's the different pieces, here's the different things we use, and here's how they interrelate. There's actually a good example of one. If you look up how many servers does it take to turn on a light bulb, Philips hold my beer tweet, you'll get a tweet with a really great architecture diagram of a stupidly complex architecture for turning on a light bulb from Philips Hue. So show a diagram of like how all the pieces of your app fit together. Keep it high level. You don't have to show code. I think it's unlikely that you have any code that is so mind-blowing that it should go on a slide. But if you think there's an exception, you should ask us. In general, keep it higher level than code, especially because there's gonna be people in the audience who aren't coders, and so it'll just like go over their heads. And then talk about decisions you made. So at various points in your project, you had different roads you could have taken, different technical designs you could have made, and this is the time to be like, we decided to do X rather than Y because of these reasons. And if we were to do it again, we may choose Y because like here were some challenges we encountered with X. Or not, if you were perfectly happy with the decisions you made. Don't talk about stuff that doesn't work. It's really easy to fixate on it because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work always in every project right now. And probably last night you got a sense of this where people came in and were like, this is so impressive, this is all really cool, and you spent like the last 6 hours being like, but this thing is barely held together with duct tape and baling twine. It's okay. That's why we're recording a screencast. You don't have to say like, and here's all these things that don't work. Instead, focus on the things that do work. And it will sell your app better and sell you better. And then finally, you'll have a conclusion where you're like, I was really happy to work with all these people, and now we're done. No, don't end your presentation like that. Thank you for listening. Let's see, there we go. What's that? Yeah, so here's a URL. Come try out our app. If you're deployed on the App Store or something, here's a link to the App Store. I think nobody has an app that goes in the App Store. Yeah, so here's a URL to our app. We'd love for you to try it out. We learned a lot working with each other, and we are going to be friends for life. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Your last slide should again have your names and the URL of your project and whatever branding for your project you want. Anything else? If you are on Twitter and you want to put your Twitter handles on your beginning slide and end slide, that is a good way to get followers and just generally to get engagement. Yeah, I think that's it. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah, good question. We're about to talk about that. The short answer is you'll put slides into your video, possibly by recording a screencast of your slides and then editing it in. Okay, so all of this will be set to a screencast, and we will be doing a screencast because this work. I take exception to this because I think this robot is actually working as designed. And I think this is Simone Gertz, who makes shitty robots. That's, I think, literally her YouTube handle is Shitty Robots. She's amazing. Okay, just gonna watch that one more time. Okay. So because it's a screencast, the app's not going to suddenly fail to work. It's not going to explode because Wi-Fi breaks, which happens surprisingly often. You can fast forward through the dull parts and just focus on the parts of your app that are interesting. It'll be easier to time your script to it versus sort of waiting and needing someone to be driving the whole time. You won't need to have someone driving. You'll have someone, whoever's standing over here might be prepared to pause the video in case you get really out of sync, but that should be the extent of your interaction with it. And then you'll have a video for people to try out, or you'll have a link for people to go to your app and try out. So it shouldn't really matter that this is a video rather than an actual running version of your app. also, the setup time for like plugging each person's laptop in to make the app run would be pretty extensive. So an effective video should have real data. So if you have like lists of users or lists of posts, and it's like all lorem ipsum and lolcat or placeholder cat, now is the time to find new assets. And if you are struggling to come up with seed data, there is a NPM called Faker, which generates fake everything. It generates fake names, it generates fake social security numbers, it generates fake credit card numbers, it generates fake images. It's like a whole thing for generating seed data, basically. Should have data to visualize things that are being described. So if I'm telling you that my app runs using a microservice architecture on as cloud functions, and the cloud functions and combination of database rules ensure atomic updates, you already have no idea what I'm talking about. If you had a diagram up there, you would still have no idea what I was talking about, but you would be able to point to parts of this diagram and be like, oh, now she's talking about this part, so I understand at least where I am, even if I still don't understand what's going on. And then you can use animations and titles and spotlight effects to highlight parts of your app as you're talking about them. You can zoom, you can edit. What else? So you will not be asked any questions, and so this slide is not relevant. There is no back talk. We're just presenting and done. David and Nimit will be offering commentary afterwards. The commentary is always positive because obviously they're that's their whole thing. If it's not positive, I will fix them. This is also not relevant, although it is kind of relevant for hiring day, so maybe we should talk about it. If you get a question about your work here or about your work on any project subsequently, which is kind of a dick question, this is a nice recipe to deal with it. So I like to basically be nice or be outwardly polite, stroke their ego a little bit, and then evade their question entirely. So why doesn't your app support blah? Were you not able to get it to work? That's a great question. We wanted to do that, but we decided not to do that. Because time is finite, and we are creatures of the mortal coil, not infinite entities such as you. I'm really bad at this. You should ask someone else. All right, rehearsing. So you are going to spend the next couple of days basically planning your talk and rehearsing it. So do that often. Write a outline of a script. It maybe doesn't even have to be an entire fleshed out script, depending on how comfortable you are improvising a little, and then give it. See how long it takes. Have someone time it, and then flesh it out a little bit. So be okay, so we should talk more about this, we shouldn't talk about this. You'll feel which parts of it feel right and which parts of it seem to be dragging on. This is my process. I like to kind of go with a loose skeleton and then flesh it out over time. You may prefer to write a really detailed script and then deliver it and then edit it down. That's also okay. It depends on your level of comfort with the process of just ad-libbing something. But do, by this afternoon, have it's not going to be the tightest script, obviously, but have a script that's here's what I should be saying, so that you can start to run the process of putting that into your head and getting to let go of worrying about what you're saying so that you can focus on the act of presenting it. We may have a microphone up here. If not, this is good advice for tomorrow. Chris will be there to give you a little gruff grizzly bear talk about how to use the microphone or how not to use the microphone. And just be sure to practice with it. You're welcome to practice down in the Oasis anytime it is free, although you have to go down to 11 to do it. And I would recommend running it a few times where you give your presentation, speaking into the fake mic, and doing the handoffs appropriately, which entails there's a little dance where there's one X where the person talking has to stand, and so you have to cross in front of the screen and hand off the mic to them, which is fine because the screen is not actually being recorded. The video from the laptop is feeding directly into Facebook Live. All right, general tips for public speaking. Do what Arnold says, I guess. Right, practice with the mic. Speak more slowly than you think you have to. Everyone gets up there and speaks really fast and kind of like trips over their words because you just want it to be over, but you don't have to. You can take your time, take a lot of deep breaths, and support your projection with your breath, because that will help you both speak at an appropriate rate and also project and just be audible on the live stream. It's really tempting to want to face the screen and read off it. Try not to. If you have to glance at the screen, that's okay, but try and generally keep your attention focused outward towards the people, but more importantly towards the camera, which will be very noticeable. It's a camera, but it'll be like right in the center of the people. And then in general, using the space you have is great. Now, don't use the space. Stand within a box. You are a mime in a box. It is a glass box, and it is on the X, because if you move, you will walk out of frame. And I have to stand in this box because we don't have a clicker. When you're not speaking, you should stand there and try to smile. Don't hide. There's a tendency for like everyone to want to hide under the, oh, this is really comforting, under the podium. No. One person should be here driving, where driving basically means getting ready to pump the brakes should the presentation just run wildly ahead of where you are. But for the most part, the video should just go on. A couple of people should be standing here, a couple of people should be standing there, and one person should be delivering, and you just go. If you have a brain fart or you forget a line, it's okay. Nobody else knows your script, so just try and like ride past it as much as possible. It can shake you, but try not to let it. Stay loose. General advice: we sounds better than I. If you say I, especially if everyone else is saying we, it kind of feels like you're separating yourself from your group and taking extra credit. I is great when you're talking one-on-one to employers and you're being specific about the parts of the app you've worked on. For the presentation, though, you are a hive mind. You have become a collective, a new kind of cognition, and you should embody that as best as possible. Humor is nice. Keep it nice. This is more of a full stack thing. Like don't use sexist humor. But yeah, humor can be really effective. If you can get your audience to laugh, that immediately breaks down a ton of boundaries. So try and use it. If your app is one where like anything has gone hilariously wrong, like like if you were to see it, it just looks really broken. That's a great thing to show. I love showing recordings of that during the technical challenges. Like, oh look, this 3D model has just disintegrated into a pile of polygons. There were some challenges with skeletal modeling. And then this is, again, more of a thing for launch day. So if you foresee any difficult questions, prepare yourself for them. Like if there seem to be any holes that you're sort of avoiding in your presentation, someone might ask, and so have an answer prepared. Possibly something along the lines of, that's great, time is finite and we're all going to die. This is a good time to express your creativity. I feel like people stress about this being a big presentation to employers, which it is, and it is stressful. But your presentation will stand out more if you express yourself and do weird shit in it. So, let's see, what are some examples? There was a team that did a secret agent themed project where they recorded a little video of them sneaking around like in the real world. It was also an ARG, so they used secret agent music. They dressed in trench coats. It was a good scene. Other groups. Kate, do you remember? Is Kate even up there? Who has done?
Witches this last time they had their hat.
Oh, the witches. I liked the hat. The hat was really good too because it was simple. They never commented on it, but there was a giant hat. Yeah, so as much of yourself and your own humor that you can inject into it, that will show through, and people will remember. Except for me, apparently. All right, so you're about to go through a very compressed creative process, and you have also just gone through a rather compressed creative process, which generally looks like this. Excitement for the project, the idea, you're like, this is awesome. And then challenges, where you're like, this is awesome, but harder than I expected. And then despair, where you're like, this is terrible, everything is terrible, I am terrible. And then hopefully the rise, where you're like, oh, this might be okay. And finally, again, this is awesome. So if you're not yet at 6, I encourage you to try and get to 6. Do run up that creative hill, do some push-ups, I don't know. But find that excitement so that you can present with that excitement on Monday. All right, any questions about the presentation? Yeah.
Actually, are we gonna have the timers visible to us so that we kind of know the cues?
Wow,
No.
that is such a good idea. No, definitely not. Yeah.
We'll be able to see your facial expressions. We don't have big processes, but I mean if you do a quick like that, you'll just see that's where my things
Yeah, it would be great if there was a visible timer, though. I wonder if that's even a thing.
Make you nervous, wouldn't it?
Yeah, conferences often have it, and I really appreciate it, like a big thing. Assume no, Chris will be there, flashing his flashlight if we're running low on time. Lynn?
What was the thing that Kate said earlier about what you should say at a certain point? Because I didn't hear that.
Oh, so yes, I think it was don't talk about things you wish you would have done or future directions. And my opinion was it's okay to talk about things you wish you had done or future directions. And I think both are fine.
Okay.
What's that?
I agree, I think both are valid.
Yeah. But actually, I would say it's better to, if you're going to talk about we wish we could have accomplished X and Y should be cool, impressive extensions to what you've done, rather than we just really wish authentication had worked and we couldn't get it all together. That's, yeah, don't do that. Chris?
I'm gonna do a thing about video.
Oh, sure. I was supposed to do that. Do you want to do that?
We can do it if you want.
Okay. How do you usually suggest they do it?
Do it together. You do it together.
Oh, great.
I
Yeah.
have a list of things that I thought maybe I would touch on. How to record. How to not put sound. How to zoom. How to use cursor highlighting. How to have 2 panels for anyone. Do we have any 2 pair for adults? That might be useful. Then yeah, you'll as well. Phone tricks, we have some iPhone people, and then
Is this Camtasia that you're suggesting? Okay, cool. I've never used Camtasia in my entire life, so maybe. Great. Okay, so your priorities for the next couple of days are, again, to prepare and rehearse your presentation, to deploy your app and attach a domain name so you can put that domain name on your slide, fix any critical bugs that prevent you from recording a screencast of features, tweak the design, write documentation and tests, refactor the code to be more elegant, and then work on new features. Nobody gets to 7. 7 is the last circle of heaven reserved for God and the angels.
Did we do it to 5?
No. No. Maybe, but unlikely. Mostly it's gonna be 1 and 2. Maybe 3. Yeah. Okay. And then at the end, everyone will clap and you will go about your day, feeling incredibly relieved. All right. And now here's Kate with Camtasia advice.
Yeah, she's a break.
Oh, I see, I see.
In the meantime, write a script about like.
I thought the schedule was different than the schedule.
I think this is perfect. In that you were up here and it didn't make sense for us to switch.
Right.
The only thing I was going to say is last time John and I did this, we just had them have a script that we checked at like a little bit after lunch.
Oh, okay.
And then we didn't do the demos. We were like, now you have to start making your screencast to see how hard it is and also start making
That's
like
a good
diagrams.
idea. Yeah, that's a good
Because they
idea.
always come like with nothing.
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I like that.
Okay, good. 'Cause I was going to say things like that, but I